We need to have an omnibus proposal that takes care and tries to identify and solve the bottlenecks that we see in permitting on European level. At one point, we are simply confronted with higher targets, but no added value anymore for environmental protection. So these kind of trade-offs is something that has to be recognized in permitting procedures. Euromines is the voice of the European mining industry. Our members are excavating 54 different minerals and metals. These are strategic raw materials, these are critical raw materials, but also essential raw materials, all of them necessary to make our society and our economy work. In total, we are employing more than 300,000 people, and our raw materials are going in all kinds of value chains, be it for food, be it for ICT, be it for semiconductors or also defense. Our sector is at the start for the resilience and the competitiveness of this continent. Mining is a global business. We are confronted with capacities in China. We are confronted with competitors that are not adhering to the same ESG standards and the same sustainability performance levels that we are used to, but we are confronted with the same price. Europe is a price taker on global raw material markets. So, in order to be competitive, permitting is a crucial issue here, because without robust permits that allow us to produce, and without robust permits that are issued in an expedited way, we cannot provide the raw materials that we need for the existence of our economy. It takes for now 15 to 20 years to permit a mine. This is too long. We have the Critical Raw Materials Act, 2030 KPIs, 10% of our own consumption shall come from European soil. With the current setup, this will not be achievable. The crucial point when it comes to permitting is the environmental legislation. We see there are overlaps, we see there are objectives that are simply not achievable in a technical way, and we need to rethink how we do this legislation and what we want to achieve with this legislation. We can set targets that are incredibly high, the highest in the world. We have them already. At one point, the question is, what is the trade-off between the economic security with our own physical security versus environmental protection? Is adjusting upwards a certain target providing a benefit for environmental protection? At one point, we are simply confronted with higher targets, but no added value anymore for environmental protection. So these kind of trade-offs is something that has to be recognized in permitting procedures. Otherwise, permitting procedures will be a repetitive exercise trying to adhere to objectives that do not help making a permit more robust, nor really provide added value to environmental protection. The challenge that we are facing is threefold. On the one hand, it's the time frame for permitting. 15 to 20 years is just far too long. We see other jurisdictions that are pushing ahead simply because they have procedures in place while maintaining a high ESG standard. Look at Australia, look at Canada. These are examples that we can emulate. Well, the second big challenge is the objectives that we are setting ourselves. We do not allow for trade-offs, even though in many cases they make absolutely sense. So for our recommendation, we need to have an omnibus proposal that takes care and tries to identify and solve the bottlenecks that we see in permitting on European level. Our permitting authorities are doing a fine job, but they are bound by what the legislator is telling them. The legislator gets their instruction from EU legislation. We need to look into EU legislation and we need to identify where are bottlenecks, where are contradictions, and where do we simply go too far when we look at the economic value and the value of environmental protection. We want to have robust permits. Cutting corners will not make liabilities go away. But in order to have a robust permit, we also need to have a robust objective that is actually achievable. As chair of the Informal Coalition on Permitting, I'm very happy that we brought together so many sectors across the industries, from upstream, like mining, like oil and gas, to downstream manufacturing, such as batteries. We brought together a group of people, a group of sectors that all face similar challenges. Aligning our messages and aligning our demands when it comes to permitting will hopefully bring forward this permitting omnibus that we are waiting for.